be a freak. It don't make me weak. I'll be a freak. Don't get close, just make the most of me. Some kind of animal that makes you run and hide, but you can't help it, no, you won't be satisfied. You keep on pushing till you get your view. You come to stop and stare, but I also see you. I'll be a freak. It don't make me weak. Yeah, I'll be a freak. Don't get close, just make the most of me. Endless days and cold, cold nights. In my corner, it ain't right. Showtime, showtime, roll right up. Get your money's worth, see the greatest show on God's green earth. I'll be a freak. It don't make me weak. I'll be a freak. Don't get close, just make the most of me. You think you're pretty safe to joke at my expense? That's just a circus, boy, there ain't no recompense. But please come closer, I pray it every day. My claws are sharp enough and I'll take your breath away. I'll be a freak. It don't make me weak. Yeah, I'll be a freak. Don't get close, just make the most of me. I'll be a freak. It don't make me weak. I'll be a freak. Don't get close, just make the most of me. I'll be a freak. Don't make me weak. I'll be a freak. Don't get close, just make the most of me. Born free for somebody
My baby's in the graveyard, she's waiting for me up there. Thinking of a real high, thinking of the graveyard head. In the back of a hearse is where I met her first. With a sexy scent
The transition still doesn't work. I know, but other things work. The lamp now works. Ooh, hi everyone. Brr, it's cold out. So we had to move location. And this location, you know, you guys are out there. At least I'm in here. You guys are fucking, I don't know. It seems bad out there. I wouldn't be out there if I were you, but fuck, what do I know? Sorry guys, I'm trying to get our TV set up, but it's not working for some reason, and it's actually making me very sad. It's cold in here. Did you forget to pay the electric bill? Squatters don't pay bills. It's one of our few cheat codes. Is it just me, or do I feel a little crooked? I'm gonna be over here, because Eden's complaining that she can't put me on her stream. We're gonna see if that's a little better, and I'm gonna put myself over a bit, and it's gonna be fine. And I'm gonna continue to try. I'm trying to get her on our stream because it would be fucking hysterical. But you know, it's fighting me a little. It's fighting me just a little bit. Ah! All right. All right. I see how it is. Why isn't it working? Oh, there it is. There it is. But every time I switch it to her stream, it's like, no. No, you don't get that. You don't get that channel. What the fuck? Is it because it's too small? There it is. There it is. Oh god, there I am. But why am I over there? Why am I in front of, get me out from in front of the TV, Eden. Sorry guys. God. Okay. I'm tilted? High tilted? Oh. Emery, what is going on in the south with your cars? What is happening over there? Here, hold on. We'll set her on top of the music. We'll just move her over there. Don't make this an everyone thing. It rained and sleeted a little bit and everyone forgot how to drive. Well, that's standard. They forget how to drive here and it does that shit all the time. But like, why are there Christmas lights all over their how are there Christmas lights all over their fucking car? Do they not have houses? Is that just like a fun little touch? The reason Eden is on the screen and will continue to be on the screen is because A, it's hilarious, and B, she's having a Just Dance stream. So we will have our comic relief for when the game gets too scary. With painter's tape. Yeah, what the fuck? That happens every year here? Why? I don't claim that shit. Yeah, I mean, fair. It's fair. Music is a little quiet. There we go. Got some goth music going because I figured it matched. Homie, I just work here. You have no explanation? You got no nothing? Because people are stupid. Nah, you know what? I guess. Fucking hell. Kind of crazy. Anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, in the Discord, Emery has posted a picture of a car, and apparently that's just a thing over there, and it scares the shit out of me. Anyway, how's everyone's week going? Do you like my Christmas decorations? Do you like our new background, our backdrop? Better clean your floors? First time I see someone do it in a car, but where I live in particular, there's a group of guys with big lifted yee trucks that drive around with the lights. That's gotta be a crime. I just like, not that I'm ever the one to be like, hey cops, get on that, but that in particular, that's a hazard. So, better clean your floors then. What am I saying? What am I saying? I don't, Moth, remember the joke she just made? Challenge impossible? It scared the shit out of you. But I hate it here. All right. I absolutely love the energy we're starting out here tonight. Let's boot up a horror game. Let's boot up a horror game. I think that'll be a good way to keep these bad vibes going. You know? Huh, where the fuck is it? Oh, there it is. Hydrate! Cheers! Hold on. We're fixing it. Perfect. Guys, no transition. Pretend there's a transition. Oh shit. Fuck. Hold on. We're just gonna assume that will continue working if I move it over there. If I move it down off the screen, will it still process it? Ooh, okay. We're gaming. Okay, perfect. Guys, why don't you join me over here in the darkness? Sorry, hold on. The TV, you gotta like, you know how you gotta like move the antennas around sometimes? It's like that, except, you know, nothing like that. Okay, perfect. The vibes are perfect. Okay, I forgot to turn off the music. Now the vibes are just great. The horrors. Is everyone ready for the horrors? Oh, we left the cum room. Let's not call it that. Hey guys, I know I'm not in charge around here. I'm only the streamer, but let's not call it that. Huh? What do we think? Think it over. It says windowed, but it's not. It's just literally not. It's lying to me. Is this too big, maybe? So where we come in room, guys, no. The cold condensated room. Thank you, Sphinx. That is correct. That is more accurate. Captain, that fucking emote. I disapprove. Ugh, is my model not gonna work? Ugh. What a day. Helta, what even is that? Oh. Why? Helta? What is that? You told me to add it. What? I would never. That sounds like something you did completely of your own volition and can't trace back to me whatsoever. Every time I click on the game, the model's like, nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. If I change the resolution, will that fix the problems I'm having? Yes! Yes, it will! Yippee, yippee, yippee! Cancel. Confirm. Yeah. Okay. Back. Back! Back, I say! It's still not working great, but I can, like, you know, go fix it, right? Mag drew it for more, aka the person who also made Helta. No, I know Magara. I keep calling her Megara, like the Hercules character. It's me as a Roomba. Yeah, okay, that's right. Why is it named that? There will be a twit longer about this slander? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm preparing my Google Doc. Yeah, I am Helta. I'm asking about the name of the emote. Does it? Cause from an untrained eye, it seems like you've named the emote Heltar Come. Because that is what Mag called it before she realized how it sounded. Oh! Like the end of vacuum. I see. You know what? And that's on me. And that's on me for having a filthy mind. It's totally my bad. Guys, let's play a spooky video game. Yeah, no, I see it. I see the vision now. I do. Sadly, to keep the vibes horror related, I am going to really quick mute Eden's stream for myself. So if she's making funny jokes, I won't hear them. We just get dancing. That's what we get. See, I'm gonna call your bluff about the Google Doc. I know you couldn't wait 8 months and make it 1,000 pages. A, I love writing. B, you are correct on the first part. I'm mad that the model won't work. Why won't it? I don't know where I am. I don't remember what we're doing. Oh yeah, I repinned crouch to this button so I could slide easier. Leave me alone! Leave me alone! Oh my god! Ah! Okay. The horrors. Reset the protective relay. I'm gonna assume that that is this way, because the monster is this way. Okay. He keeps howling. Did he get fused with a dog? Do we have dogs on the rig? Is that allowed? Are you allowed pets on an oil rig? God, look at him.
Just think of the money.
Ooh. Excuse me.
Merry Christmas, you cunts.
Where do I go? Where do I go? Where's the next hole? Can I go? No. About that, Adair. About that. Okay, 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 okay. I'm just gonna go in here. So, anyone have any exciting Monday stories? Anyone see any cool movies? Stop howling, you furry. Oh no. It's fine. It's totally fine. So I was talking about this game today to Kat, and I was saying how much this game reminds me of Dead Space. Not just because of the body horror element, but also because, like, A, you're a maintenance person, B, every single problem that you solve via maintenancing, shrimp immediately. I will shrimp immediately. Hello, Flame Roarin'. How are you doing? Every problem you solve isn't really a solution. It's just like a temporary fix until you have more time to do a real fix. Oh my god. Where are you? And it's like they do a good job of interrupting, like, the main quest, which is of course to escape with my life, or with like, oh, it's sinking, which if you remember is exactly what happened in Dead Space. They're like, hey, quick pause, because we're gonna fall into the planet. Oh my god, 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 oh my god. I think perhaps this is the wrong way.
What?
Oh god, I was supposed to go that way. Okay. Should I just be killed? Seems faster. Hiya there.
I fucking see ya!
Oh my god! Absolutely horrific looking. Me? I'm okay. I'm doing alright. Yeah. This way. Yeah. Is your work particularly exhausting, or is there like an additional factor to make this week a particular nightmare for you? Huh. This goes nowhere. Oh. Well, that's a huge problem. I don't know where I'm going. I've barely slept for 3 days? Why? Do you just have trouble sleeping? Because that's real and fair, and that do be happening. If there's nowhere to go this way, then it must be in that room somewhere, right? Sleep has been extremely light and frequently interrupts itself for some reason. That fucking blows. Oh! Okay, okay. Wait. Is this the right way? I don't know. I guess it'll stop me if it isn't. Mud handling. That looks familiar. Uh-oh. This is where I was. I remember this being where I was. Which means this is the wrong place. Which means I was supposed to go that way, but it was locked? Guys, I'm a little turned around. I'm not gonna lie. Did we skip this last Monday, or am I just dumb? I guess I could check. Maybe I'm not going the wrong way. Maybe this is correct. What the fuck? Stop it. I have no idea. Ah. Nope. Not that way. Shit. And this is something that blocks off that direction, which means I probably came from that. Or I didn't come from this direction, because the wheel's on this side, but that does mean, like, I've probably been here before and already done everything I need to over there. Which means there must be something over by Adair that I've forgotten. Who knows what, though? I feel like the Eden stream is glitching a little. Yeah, it totally is. Damn. More drinking. The Bolivian stream? What? According to captions. Eh? Are my captions in Bolivian? Is Bolivian a language? Okay, I pulled this lever and then I fucked off this way and then he followed me. Turned on auto-generated caption, so they've been very silly. Damn. Yeah, so you have to do something yourself to set those up, and I am not gonna lie. I must have to go that way, because that's where he is. That makes sense to me. But I said that last time and I couldn't find it out, but I'll just do a more thorough search this time. So the auto-generated captions I had to set up with a program, and I think I did it wrong because they have never generated anything normal once. Guys, we are getting a frame per second. Fuck. Okay. Hey, bud. I like that the light flickers whenever you're looking directly at them, so you can never get a good fucking view. That's awesome. That didn't go where I wanted it to.
Fucking see you!
Okay.
You scared me.
I just phased through the wall there. That was cool. Oh god. Okay. Where do I want to go? Perhaps over there? No, this is where I fucking came from, isn't it? Woo! We'll just chill over here for a second. Maybe I am supposed to go back down there. I'm gonna check down there one more time. Just in case I miss something and I'm fucking around with this monster man for no good reason. No. No, no one is here. Ah, fuck you. Captain. Yeah, this is not... Ow! Fuck. Hell. This is nothing. Right? There's nothing in here. There's nothing over here. There's no other way. There's no lever. There's no switch. It's gotta be something over there with a dare. Captain, I am nowhere near the danger, and that still got the fuck out of me. Come on, come on, come on, come on, go, 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 go. Oh my god, he's coming towards me. Okay. Hey, bud. Hey, bud. Can you fuck off? Can you fuck off forever? Ooh. It's coming back down. Okie dokie. I must have just, like, missed something over there. Ooh! There he is. Ugh. Icky. Icky and gross. Sticky and bad. Okay. Come on. Fuck off. Wah! Stop! Stop it! Is that where I'm supposed to be? Pump control? Please, 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 please. No, that's where I just was, right? Oh my god. Oh no, okay. It put me back a little bit. Okay. I understand now. Now he's gonna come fuck my whole day up. Okay, awesome. Now we are all caught up. Only an hour into the stream. Oh no, it's only been 40 minutes. It's fine. It's fine.
No, it's Brody. I thought it was Finlay with the lights coming back on.
It worked? Thank Christ. Finlay was here, but we get separated. You alright?
Aye. The rig isn't though. We're starting to sink.
Are you kidding me? How long till it goes under?
Soon if we do nothing. Look, I need you to come down to the pontoons. If we engage the tension winches in all four legs, we can buy some time.
What's the point? The pontoons, the electricity, they fucking things. It's a fucking nightmare.
What you on about? You survived this long, haven't you? Nothing can be said for most of the poor bastards on this rig. Christ, Kaz. Somebody up there must like you.
That's what Roy keeps telling me.
Aye. Well, he's a Barnsley fan, so he'll be used to praise.
Aye, you're no wrong there.
I'm no wrong about this either. You're the jammiest bastard on this rig, and we need that right now. So let's do this, aye?
What do I need to do?
You engage the winches in legs A and B, and I'll do the others. Easy. There's a direct route down from engineering.
Aye, alright. I'll find my way down.
Top man, Kaz. I'll give you a shout over the tannoy if we're in business.
Okay. Hold on, really quick. I just want to check. Yeah, everything's good. Let's go. I'm sure nothing will get in my way going down into the depths. Sure, everything will be fine forever. Oh, I could reopen it. That's weird.
I've not got the switches right yet. I can't leave.
Okay. Entering leg A? Oh my god. Why so dramatic? I don't like that. Take a little drink. for my strength. Ah! Helta. Okay, fine. I'll sit up straight. Cat. I'll let that one go, cause, you know, I'm sure you've been absent a while. There it is. I'm sure you've been itching to abuse me all this time. Ah! Oh my god. Cool. Oh. And that one? Oh. Okay. So you're just here to bother me. Oh. 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 Ah. Sick. Never worried. Was never worried. Counterweight control. The fuck? Oh. Platforming.
Fuck!
It thought I was falling longer than I was. Just want to check. Just want to check. It's not like I can get loot. I just want to see. Just want to see what's going on. Now this is pod racing. Oh, you're fucking kidding me. What's up here? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all. Is this where I came from? Ooh.
Oh, Christ.
And there's nowhere to go from there. Okay. Didn't expect that kind of lamp. Yeah. Guys, I fixed the lamp. Guys, how are we feeling about fixed lamp? Come on, go. Okay, it's fine. Never worried. I have to look down. Oh, no, I don't. Okay, straight there then, huh?
No.
Ah! Hi, Eden. Okay. Eden, I blame you for that. Eden, I can't help but notice no one's entertaining my chat right now with their slick dance moves.
Don't look down.
We are sinking. I see. Oh, righty-tighty. Got it. Helta, that'll have to do. I'll allow it.
This training, Brody must have done like see.
I bet he dies before he gets to D. I don't want to wish that evil on him, but, you know.
Fuck. It's so broken. I need to sort it at the fuse box or it'll keep shorting out.
Okay. Also, does anyone know what a pontoon is? Oh, wrong side. That's what that board meant. It didn't need that forked one.
Counterweights are fucking gold.
Cool. Alright. I itched my nose. I tried to itch my nose. Jesus Christ. This fucking breaks again. I swear to God. I'ma be mad. There. It's like when you have a bunch of tubes with air underneath the platform in the water or something. Oh, sick. That makes sense. I wonder what we're tensioning to make them stay. I guess maybe just like actually trying to support it on the... Oh. Oh, I see. I see. Because if you have no air, then it's something to do. I don't know. Do I need to know exactly how we're fixing this rig? Just got out of the shower, Undoubtable! Welcome in. How you doing? We have our TV up. We have Eden dancing, and we have the horrors, the endless horrors. We have Roarin', but on fire.
Here it is.
Okay.
Okay, back to the winch controls.
We have a small gray cat! Reactivate winch mechanism. Installation manager must be notified. Tension leg winch. Okay, so... I have no idea what we're doing.
Fucking understatement.
I've done the first cable. You need to do the same in leg B through the pontoon.
Right.
See you on the other side, Kaz.
Hope so, pal. Fucking hope so.
Find a way through. Oh shit. It's rising. It's rising. Why? Why are we sinking? I've fixed this leg. I thought this would fix the leg. Oh my God.
Fuck. How many more bodies are there? Jesus.
Well, how many people worked here? That should give you a good estimate. I'm alive. We appreciate life here. We like it when you're alive, typically. Did I take care today? I took meds. I think. Pretty sure. Yes, I did. But I missed a few doses, so I might take another dose tonight. I'm not sure. It's all black magic to me. let's not shout when there's like tons of monsters everywhere. Okay. What the fuck is that? Oh! That is an excellent question. I bet I have to go in there. But yeah, Indomitable, how's your week starting off? By the way, everyone, there will be an ad in 7 minutes. When that happens, we will take a little break. Because we're chill and fun-loving. This is gonna fill up with water. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Oh, Christ. Fuck.
Hey, okay. Ah. Oh my god. I missed so many of those. Explosive hazard. Awesome.
Shit.
We'll see. I think it's been good. How incredibly ominous. Well, I hope it was good. I hope you're seeing... Oh, God. Is there anything else to be done?
No, I do not want to go in there. Fuck. Right, here we go. Right.
I guess that is, in fact, where we're going. Oh! Fucking hell. No. Oh my god. Is it? Oh no. Okay. I'm not sure. Am I still going for there? No, of course not. Oh my god, please. Oh my god, did it keep rising? Oh no. Oh no. Oh, very bad. Come on. Come on. I see it. Oh god. No, I don't see it. I don't see anything. I'm drowning. I'm dying. We got an achievement for drowning in the rig. That's fucking awesome. Oh no, invisible wall. My age-old enemy. Find a way through the pontoons. Yes. 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 Right. Okay. I'm just gonna... Can I... No, of course not. Ah! This is quite bad. I'm still sure that I need to get over here. Wait! Ah! Oh god. Where do we go? Okay. Easy peasy.
Shite, that was close.
Close? We fucking died, man. Right? You could have pressed your face up against that grate. I guess they could have also coated it to, like, so the water rose slightly above the grate, but didn't wanna.
More draining. It's down the other one.
Goody! Just like a little bit of draining, though. Locked.
Thing's locked.
Of course. Of fucking course. Can't see shit. This is probably cold as fuck as well, because this is just ocean water. There's like nothing anywhere. I don't see anything. Where am I supposed to fucking go? Oh, wait, perhaps the giant glowing thing? Maybe there's a way down through there? Huzzah! It's the nice part of this whole fucking place falling apart.
Christ. Fucking oil.
Ooh. That's very bad. Okay. Is that the correct place to leave area? I don't know. Sure. Hey! You found the right hole! And it was challenging. We're gonna pause. We're gonna take a quick pause break. How's everyone doing? I know I keep asking that. I'm trying to think of anything going on that's exciting. This week, well, we're probably going to finish Pyre on Wednesday, which leaves us with a choice. Just happy to see you. Aw, I'm happy to see you too. I took a huge ass nap right before stream, which was unwise, but we out here. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, we're gonna finish Pyre. So do we want to do Hades 1 and 2 is gonna be my question. Probably, because I really want to do Hades 1 and 2, but then again, like, how many times do we, how much of the story do we uncover before we're like, okay, that's enough? Do you have any special December plans? Nope. Nope, not really. I mean, my job's probably gonna start soon. That'll be exciting. I might go to I might do some traveling to see Cat's family. I might I know we're not doing like a big present thing this year, but we'll still probably do dinner at Pleasant's Pleasant's dad's house. I'm at the wrong thing. I just no longer have a shortcut to change my model, so I'm like, ugh, I don't want to click 3 times. That's so much work. Oop. Well, and now it crashed. Uh-oh. Oh no, it's working. It's working fine. It's totally fine. I'm in Malt's clothes, but who cares? Yeah, probably be at my dad's house for dinner, or my stepmom's house. I might be moving soon. That's kind of exciting. It'll be a couple months still, but we might have our own little office room, so I will no longer be in the middle of the living room, which does mean less cat visits. I know. Not less Milo visits, less small gray cat visits, maybe. Milo will probably still be around. Thank you. It's gonna be a pretty decent gig. I'm splitting the rent with including me, 4 people, so I'm gonna be able to pay off some stuff. I'm gonna be able to upgrade the stream a little bit, because I feel really, pardon me, I feel really bad because we did that subathon. You guys supported me a fuck ton. I was like, I'm gonna upgrade the stream, and then I was unemployed for a while, and I was like, damn, I gotta eat and pay rent, so I had to spend that money. But then once we go there, my first priority, as soon as I have spendable money, will be getting you guys some more cool stuff that you can play with. Maybe some more art for us to gawk at. Maybe a hand cam so you can see my lovely cuticles. Flesh, the real flesh. Gotta eat, very important. You are taken care of for us. Aw, shucks. Aw, shucks. Eating's good, I suppose. Welcome back from ads. Ah, I didn't hear a little sound. Really, as I keep yawning, I'm very sorry. And that means Mix It Up is not on. What if there's a clippable moment? Captain, are you throwing bugs at me because I made you yawn? The best stream improvement is yourself? Oh, that's possibly the sweetest thing I've ever read. Okay. Oh, I'm free. I have to manually move the camera. Ah! All right. Hold on. Warudo's still fighting me. So, actually, this might be a pleasant stream from now on because it won't let me switch the fucking costumes. Love to see your hand and maybe hold it. Before marriage, you harlot! 20 Hail Marys and a little self-flagellation. Chop chop! God damn, Warudo really doesn't want to do shit for me right now, does it? Bum, ba, dum, bum, 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 bum. Hi! There we are. God, no one redeem any costume changes if it's gonna fight me so earnestly. All right, more horrors, yippee, yippee, yippee. Sand. What is that emote called? Do you think it's called? Yeah, you have to type it all out. That's fucking awesome. I was worried you just made it sand. I was like, no, no, no. Make the people work for it.
Hello?
Don't call hello.
Connor. Is that you? Go away.
Oh.
Mary. Oh, Christ. Mary.
Go and fetch Mary.
You can hear me, can't you? You understand me? Fuck, Jesus. I'm sorry. I can't help you. I'm sorry.
Ah! Oh my god. Oh my god. Ah! Fucking hell. Ah! God. God. Ah! Okay, he's fucking everywhere. He's the wall. He's the whole ass wall. He's a fucking... Not a Venus flytrap, the other one. A piranha plant? No, not that one. Anglerfish.
Fuck out of here.
Oh, more oil. Awesome. Ooh, fire. Those mix really well, I hear. I hear great things about those two things together.
Okay, here it is.
Okay. Okay.
It's fucking over with.
Let's get this over with. Come on, go, go, go. Oh. You're already down. Didn't I pull the other one down? Maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm making shit up.
That's magic, guys. We've done it. No survival there. I'll save the leg and I'll see you up there. Thanks for helping. We'd all be gone, right? And I mean that.
Don't get around in just yet.
Ugh. I really don't like waiting around in the oil with the fire right over there. I really, really don't like that. When the fire hits that, this place is gonna fucking explode, right? Like, am I crazy? Oh my god. That's a concerning amount of particle effects. That's probably fine. To go right through that, that's probably fine. Oh shit, they didn't fuse on my screen. Did they fuse on yours? Ooh, shit. Sorry, I just realized I accidentally hit the... Ray is adding new emotes? Oh my god, they're beautiful. I saw Hoya's adding new emotes too because I tried to use one that I usually use and it wasn't there. I was like, no, I can't city. I use all Hoya's emotes a lot. Whoa. It is worth it for Santa Hoya. It's so cute. Alright. She got Zoltar to make a bunch of Goonmas emote. Goonmas? I'm scared. I'm scared what Goonmas is. Oh, I guess nothing bad happened. I guess that was just kind of fine. Yeah. Yeah, it is the same? Okay, fine. Cool. Accommodation. Oh, it's raining.
I fucking still in this cold. Jesus.
Oh, where's our heater? We need a heater. Oh, it's blinking.
Get warm. Jesus.
Yeah. All right, man. Did I miss one? Or do I have to really go through that door? Like... I love how your hands scramble every time. It's like, oh! Zoinks!
I need to get warm. Jesus.
Oh, no, there is something in here. Oh, here it is. Fucking hell. Saris, hello.
Get out of this fucking
No,
place.
and November is done. Non-stop Nut November is done. Now we move on to Goonmas.
Check on Roy.
Hell yeah. I feel like I met someone who called it something else, but also like Goon related. It was something December.
Roy, fuck's sake.
Oh, gosh, mate, thank the Lord. I've been worried sick.
Sorry, pal. I've been out of the shop since I last seen you.
What's going on, Kaz? What happened with the chopper?
That cunt tried to go without us, but, well, didn't work out well for him or the bird.
Bloody hell, Kaz. Is anyone alive?
Aye, I saw Finlay. We had to get the Jennies on. And Brody as well, helping with the tension legs. Do you know what? I'm a fucking rig expert now.
Told you to take no time. Yeah, I'm glad you've not been alone out there.
Heard my name from the kitchen?
You're all right.
Like a second ago. I was like, maybe...
It's one of these things, but
Sorry, I'm interrupting.
I thought... fuck, I don't know what I thought, but... Whatever it is folk are being turned into, there's something of them still in there. What's going on? Roy?
It's all right. It's just me being clumsy. Once I get my shot, I'll be right as rain.
Do you need me to come and get you?
Oh, no, I can do it. You saw this rig out? And the way to get us home. See you, girls. All right?
Aye.
You're a good lad, Kaz. That's why Suze loves you. And she does, you know. She really loves you. Kaz?
Aye. Sorry, I have to go, Roy. Will you make it to the cabins all right?
Yeah, I'm on the way now. You, be on yours. I'm praying for you, mate. Remember, Jesus loves you, Kaz. Everyone else thinks you're a god.
All right, pal. Afters.
Death flags like crazy up in that call. This game is so cool and spooky. It is so cool. I was saying that once we move to our new location, you may not visit the stream so much because I will not be directly smack dab in the middle of the living space. Also, pot of coffee? Staying up? Ah! He didn't stop that. He didn't stop that immediately. Everyone here who's not following Eden is a fool. I did it wrong. Oh no, I didn't do it wrong. Hell yeah. And they're providing us so much free entertainment in the bottom corner of our screen. If I don't shout them out, I'm pretty sure they could sue me for fucking... What?
Hello? Hello? Anyone there?
Here he is. Listen, I don't have long. I left away my mum. I had to get out. She's hurting me. I'm going to have my head stuck in
Suze?
this house.
Is that you?
Oh, Jesus. This one's trying to give me a kicking and all.
Going to be a wee boxer, eh?
Aye, you wish.
I wish I
Oh.
could see you. You're beautiful like that.
Aye? Well, I feel like an elephant.
Christ, what is this? Suze! Suze?
What the fuck? That wasn't a memory. Was it? Was that real? Was it calling my wife and lying that everything is fine? Is it sentient? Oh my god. CatCon! Hi. Why are you laughing at me? What have I done to deserve such scorn? Besides everything. Don't bring up the stuff I've done. Just, you know. Ooh, scramble. Scramble. Hands. Hands. Okay. I hear a lot of howling going on over there. Don't fuck with it.
Christ, look at it. Does it go bigger?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's fucking climbing us, mate. That's generally the direction shit grows, is up. Ooh.
Shite, that's oil dripping and everything. One sparking. Fuck.
Ow. Fucking hell.
Suze. Jesus Christ, what the fuck is happening to me?
Am I changing mentally? And then it changes me physically? I don't fucking know. I don't know how this works. The horrors. The endless horrors. Small Gray Cat, I didn't mention it, but you're a saint and a hero. And I hope everyone is enjoying their dinner and / or pot of coffee. Brody!
Over here!
Brody?
Oh,
Brody.
fucking hell.
Fucking hell, how you doing?
Better than you by the looks of it. Did you see any others?
You mean anyone alive? Well, I spoke to Roy. He's no doing great without his insulin. And I've no idea where Finlay is now.
I spoke to her a few minutes ago. She's stuck until she gets past Rennick. Or what used to be Rennick.
Feels like everybody's dead or worse. And I don't know about your side of the pontoons, but where I was, the oil tanks are burst, and I think there's a gas leak. I mean, I'm looking for a fucking bright side here.
Well, let's cross that bridge when we come to it, alright?
The bright side?
Right now, we have to deal with the stack.
Oh, it's Adair.
Noise!
He's escaped.
Aye, okay. Alright, the stack. I'm kind of thinking the flare shouldn't be looking like that.
No. Main feed's ruptured. It's burning out. It could get worse. And if it does, it could spread to the derrick and cause an explosion.
Right, so we're fucked. Again.
Not if we switch the flare onto the auxiliary gas pipe. If you go over to the processing quad, I can...
What? Have you seen it out there? Oh, aye, it's quite nice in here, you know. Maybe we should swap.
You can't work the controls, Kaz. Otherwise of course, I'd go myself.
Christ. Alright, alright. What am I doing?
You need to get there and find the diverter valve, main to the auxiliary. It's on the middle floor, flare side. I'll ignite the stack from here.
Right.
If I can't do it, then you'll need this.
Jesus.
I'll be on the tannoy if you need any help. Good luck, Kaz.
Great.
Awesome. Super awesome. So there is a way to do it from my side. Brody, dug the radio out, no signal. You know what we have to do. This is our fucking problem. What? Is it? Is it? Is it? Oh my god. waiting for that asshole to just pop out somewhere. There's currently nowhere to hide if he does.
Someone here. Oh, Christ.
Woo! Woo! She waiting for that asshole to pop. Oh my god. Terrible time to look at you guys being weird. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh god, wait. Could he not, like, fit? Woo! Ah! Fucking hell! Good fucking deal. Where to next, huh? Right out there. Oh, nope, 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 nope. I lied. I lied. Where the fuck is he? I have no idea where the fuck he is. Found it! Yippee!
Guys, what's happening? Are you alright?
Too much to hope that he would have fucking lit himself on fire. Oh, I guess I'm going back now. Awesome. Got all my food? Nice. So thankful for the Just Dance stream. It's really saving our fucking hides right now. It's really the only reason I've retained any sanity. Whoop, whoop. Oh my god, 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 oh my god. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. He wasn't even close to me. Everything was fine. I wasn't worried. Even a little bit. You're welcome, guys. Hey, not all heroes wear capes.
Guys, I can see the feed switching here. Glad you're alright. I've started the igniter. Give it a sec.
Okay.
Can't he see anything?
Of course you can't, because I'm not that fucking lucky.
No, it's not working. The gas is blown back toward the rig. I'm sorry, Kaz. I need you to do it manually. It's too dangerous to leave it. You'll have to head out onto the stack and use the relighter I gave you.
That's insane.
Did you hear me, Kaz? Wave or something so I know you're receiving.
Prick.
Understood. Godspeed.
I have to... Is it my understanding that I have to crawl on that thing all the way out into the fog with a fucking flare and my dick in my hands? Alrighty. Oh, no, there's a hallway. Oh, okay. Kaz, what the fuck are you complaining for? There's a hallway. Oh my god.
You're fucking joking me.
Oh my god. Ah! Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, you're kidding me. You're kidding me. You're kidding me. Go. Go. Ah!
I'm trying to save us, you stupid fucking bastard.
Oh, okay. So, well, you need at least 3 points of context to climb. So if you're gonna put your dick in your hands, you better have room. I don't.
Jesus, you're fucking joking me.
All right, one more time with feeling. Why are you walking? Run! Run, you fucking idiot! Oh my god, he is right behind me! Jesus Christ!
Fuck's sake!
Ah!
I'm trying to save us, you stupid fucking bastard!
Ah! Oh my god! Okay, well, he caught up to me. Okay, so I do need to land it. I can't grab it. I do, in fact, need to land it. Also, you need PPE. I'm killing you, I'm killing you, I'm killing you with my mind. Wow, it's really glitching a lot each time I die. Why is that? Why is that? I wonder. There it is.
Jesus, you're fucking joking me.
Run, you fucking idiot! I'm scared! There's no dancing and I'm scared!
Fuck's sake! I'm trying to save us, you stupid fucking bastard!
Ah! Come on, go, 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 go! Climb, 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 climb! Ah!
I see him squeeze through there. Jesus. This fucking flare fired.
Oh my god, that's a lot of fucking... Can I just chuck it? Yeah.
I'm doing this!
If he fucking catches it, I'm gonna be pissed. Oh! You dumbass! No, 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 no. What did I saved our fucking lives, you idiot?
Kaz, for fuck's sake, move! It's about to
Oh,
go
for
up!
fuck's sake!
God damn you. Hard mode, each time you die a little bit more, your RAM leaks out of their magic box. Not my magic box. Ah, ow. Okay. I guess I'll be jumping those and not trying to go around them.
Kaz, for fuck's sake, move! It's about to collapse! Kaz, it's buckling, you need to move!
What do you think I am doing?
Can you hear me, Kaz? Please, man, hurry!
Oh my god, oh my god. Oh You're fucking kidding me. And we died, and that's the end of the game. Great show, everyone.
Here's peace, Suze.
Oh, I'm sorry, love. I'm not being difficult. I'm just trying to pick up the pieces of your mess.
He wouldn't let it go, okay? He's carried a fucking torch for you since school. He's always hated me for being the bigger man and for having you in those beautiful fucking wings.
Oh, no. Bigger man! You are shitting me, McCready. You're the bigger man. Do you think your daughter's got more brains and bigger balls than you have? What about the kids? The flat's in your name. You go to Berlin and they just take it away.
Listen, Suze, come on.
No, you shut it, McCready. You sit your arse down and you just listen to me.
How can we not just talk about this?
Because I am smarter than you, that's why. And I will not let you drag those girls down with you. You sort this. Whatever you have to do, I don't care. You sort this or I will leave you, you understand?
Suze, look, I'm really sorry.
That's just enough, okay? Just get out of my sight. Try not to put anyone else in hospital the day, yeah? That might make a nice change for you.
Yeah, we're a big fuck up. We be fucking up.
Suze, no, I didn't mean that. Why'd you have to... Suze.
Oh no, my RAM. Oh god.
Jesus Christ. Oh, fuck. Jesus. Suze. Oh, Jesus Christ. You bastard.
Find a way back inside. Okay. I'm limping. I'm either gonna recover or this is the end of the fucking game soon. Halt was right. When is he not? Oh, awesome.
I'm not letting you drag those girls down.
Suze? What's this fucking stuff to me?
I'm just trying to pick up the pieces of your mess.
Also a big theme of regret, similar to Dead Space. And shame. All that good stuff. I will plug your magic box. You gotta calm down. Oh. Me when I'm blind? Me when I'm fucking blind? I heard Dead Space. I'm likening this game to Dead Space a lot because it is similar to Dead Space. Oh, monkey bars. Sure. Okay. It's fine. It's totally fine. I don't want to go down. I don't want to go down again. Brody, if you read this, I'll meet you in engineering. I did my bit. Your plan better work. Last chance, F. Oh, was Brody and Finley trying to fix stuff while I was theoretically dead? Eden is becoming a K-pop idol in the bottom left. True, slay. They, them of dead, similar to Dead Space. We're just gonna hurry. We're just gonna hurry.
fuck's sake!
Oh, that's very bad. That's turbo bad. Hey, Finley!
Finley, Jesus Christ.
Cleary, how the fuck are you no dead?
I thought I was.
Great question.
Help?
Christ, can anything help?
Aye, if we can cut ourselves loose and quick like, it'll buy us time, maybe enough.
Do we even know if anyone's coming?
We've been off radio for hours, so aye, I should hope so.
Finley, good. Let's. Guys, I thought.
Aye, he's a walking greeting miracle. Are we doing this or no?
Aye. We float the rig. I'll dive down and release the tension cables. Hopefully we balance out, maybe end up higher in the water. I'll need you both in marine control.
It's Roy.
Hello, can anyone hear me? I'm stuck up in some fucking hot on the accommodation roof.
Oh. Oh, awesome.
I can lost without insulin.
He's up on the roof. I have to get him.
No,
Is anybody out there?
you have to get to marine control with Finley.
Please.
It's a two-man job and we don't have much time.
You think Roy does? Can't I just leave him? I promised I'd get him home.
Ah, let him go.
Fine. If you want to go, go. But this place is filling up with gas and oil from the drill to the derrick. God knows where else it's leaking to. I can't recommend it.
I know, Brody. But I'm going. I have to.
Engineering's your only path up there, and it's flooded, so you'll have to swim. It's a long way. Plan each step. And if you're underwater, stay calm.
Oh, aye, that's exactly how that'll go.
Enough! You both know what you're doing, so let's go.
Yeah, you guys were planning to do it alone anyway.
Rod your nerve alright, McCleary?
I'm coming, Roy.
Damn, I do not know what I would do in this situation. I don't know. I mean, besides, like, you know, just die. I don't know that I would go back for Roy. I know, like, I'd feel bad about it. I feel awful, but, you know. I don't know that I would. I like to think I would. What the fuck?
Can't help.
Okay. Oh my god, girl. Okay. Could not tell which way was up for a little bit. Oh, awesome. There's nothing here. There's absolutely nothing here for me. I just keep going.
Fuck!
I think this game does a really good job, generally, unless you've loaded the game, at telling you where to go next with the yellow. I think they never needed to spell it out, and it was obvious. And they have consistently done it in a way that doesn't feel like interrupting, you know? My dumbass probably would, not out of bravery. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be logical. No, it's like... I mean, it requires bravery, but it's not purely a decision of bravery. It's a decision of, like, first of all, are you a utilitarian? Do you value the many over the few, over the people you've made promises to? And then if you are utilitarian, can you value your own hide low enough to be able to go and save someone else when the other job is something that could save your life and that other person's life? You know, or no, they're gonna die, not that other person's life, just your own life. So it's a lot. There's a lot of reasons not to.
That's all we need. Jesus.
And not so many reasons to. That's fine. That's probably fine. Back to platforming. Back to platforming. I can speak. I speak words good. Oh, fuck. Oh, God. Oh, this is quite bad. Haha. Everything's fine. I'm not sure where to go. Do I go further down? No. Oh. Climb up there? Oh, I see. I made a mistake. I've made a fool's mistake. Dog Sweaters Monthly. How you doing? Oh, my forehead itches so bad, and you have to hold this button to stay on the fucking ladder. Okay. Hi. Okay. It's fine. 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 We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Manifestation works every time. Ah, that's the end of the flooded section. Excellent, excellent. Everything is coming up Millhouse.
So fucking cold. My bones are like fucking ice.
Oh, there's one right here.
I'm in a fucking nightmare. This can't be real. Come on, guys, come on, keep it together. For fuck's sake. Well, enough waiting around.
Yep. Anything here? No. Anything here? No. Let's go. Oh. Oh, awesome.
Look at that. That is some weird shit, man. I feel sick.
What the fuck even was that? Oh, is that my boss? The head? Is the head still here? Well, now what? Oh, that's what. Remember way earlier in the game where they said, he's in the vents, he's in the fucking vents, he's hunting us?
This isn't gonna help.
Yeah, me neither.
Shit.
I understood understood that reference? I didn't. I do feel like I got it from somewhere, but I don't remember where.
Oh, Jesus. Fucking poor bastard.
What poor bastard? Oh. Oh, awesome. Yeah, yeah, mm-hmm. Sorry, man.
Sorry, man.
I'm really fucking sorry. This sucks. Oh. Sick. Awesome. I gotta go down there, don't I? That's the head. I don't wanna.
Ha!
Woo! Come on, go, go, go on. Go, 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 go. Oh, look at you. There's a character named Milhouse. Oh, that reference. Okay. Sorry. I thought you meant the anyone else remember this? Yeah, me neither.
What the hell? How did they get like that? Christ, did trolls do this?
Oh God, what do I even do? Oh.
Roof access. Man, I'm so close.
Ah, good old locker of safety. I probably could have kept going. I just didn't. Yes, yes. I am now all caught up. Thank you. Ooh, there you fucking are.
Jesus.
Woo. Do I even want to be up there? Oh my God. There he is. There he is. There he is. Oh my God, my frames. My frames. Guys, my frames. Why did it do that? Right when I needed them most. Did you escape Texaco Chevron yet? No. Everything's bad. Okay, yeah, he was gonna get me. Why are my frames gone? Oh god, the frames, right? Right? The leaky RAM. The leaky RAM. We're just gonna give it a sec. Let it calm down. Let it have its piece. Oh, we're all the way back here again. I feel like Trots is doing it. I feel like for some reason my computer does not like loading Trots. There's something about him that it's like, no, bad. And normally you stay away from that. Ugh. This is just not fucking fixing itself. Jesus Christ. We know he might be onto something. He's not. I promise. This is less than ideal. Should I restart it? I don't want to go farther back. I guess this is the last checkpoint. Let's try and just load it, see what happens. Just might be not an optimized game, which is crazy work in 2025, but it happens. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Let's restart from checkpoint. See if that helps. A 50-50 of trying to kill it. Oof. Maybe I'd turn off my model. It's not working so well anyway. Maybe that would help. And we switch to the Discord thing. Let's try that. Let's see if that helps. Hold on. Hold on. There we are. Hey! That did it! Okay. Fugi time. Oh, he's coming right back. No, awesome.
Jesus.
Okay, Trots. Come on. I'm aware. I'm aware. Oh my god. 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 God fucking damn it. Oh, shit. Wait, what? Huh? Who? Where? What? Huh? Where? Where? Where do I go? Do I go back?
Christ.
God, maybe it's better to not have woken up at all, honestly. No, I don't go back. Well, where the fuck do I go? Ooh. Ah! Ow, fucking hell. Okay. My bad. Oh, there it is. Gross.
Noise inside. See ya.
Awesome. To the roof. Oh my god! Oh my god!
I've got to go.
Sorry, man. Oh, okay. Everything is hunky fucking dory. Roy!
Roy! He up here! Roy!
Jesus Christ.
It's moving out the other place.
Come on, I gotta help you and then I gotta go help fucking Finley.
Roy! Roy! Talk to me, big man. Come on. Roy!
No.
Roy, wake up, you prick!
Hey!
Please wake up.
No.
Wake up, come on!
Oh. I thought he...
Bastard. Don't leave me here. Please, big man, come on back. Christ, don't leave me. Roy, don't leave me. I can't do this, man. I'm scared, Roy. I'm fucking terrified. What am I going to tell Susan? Hey. Are you just going to fucking kill me, man? You? She loved you, big man. She really loved you. So did my girls. Wait, what am I going to tell them? Oh, sorry. Your Uncle Roy's not coming home. Aye, I know. Me and Ollie. I love this big man, do you hear me? I loved him.
Ow!
No. Phone. Better answer. Who's this?
Finley, Kaz. You got to, Roy. Good. Look, Kaz, the water's up to admin, so I couldn't get to Marine Control. You need to try and get there from where you are, alright?
Jesus.
Aye. And that English bastard better come and all. You can't stay in that hut forever, no. Kaz? Kaz, you still there? When you're not shouting, I start to worry like. Roy make a fuss? Put him on. I'll get him tailed. Kaz? For fuck's sake, what's going on?
Roy's no coming.
Ah, Jesus. God. Do you not make it?
I was too late.
Fuck. I'm sorry, Kaz. No. We all loved the big man, eh?
I let him down. He was relying on me.
No, no. No, you did everything you could. You went back for him. None of this is your fault. It's no anyone's. Look, I'm sorry, Kaz, but we need your help here. We're all fucking going down otherwise.
Aye. I want half this fucking rig.
Good. Then you need to find a way across the deck, get to Marine Control Room, call me when you get there, and I'll talk you through it. Alright?
Right.
Alrighty. Fuck. Ow. Awesome. Yeah. Woof. I mean, what thoughts are there? It's like, I feel like Kaz pointed out exactly what I like couldn't put words to, which is like,
Fuck.
he was relying on me. I was too late. It's a mundane death in the middle of all this, and it can feel that way. It can feel your fault, you know. Whereas if a fucking horrible monster comes, what the fuck am I gonna do about it? But get you your insulin. I could have prioritized that earlier. And if I did, he'd be alive. Oh, what the fuck do you want me to do here? Oh, okay. That scared the fuck out of me. Gripping onto the thing's only so good if it fucking goes down with you. Oh my god.
Fuck's sake.
Oh! Oh, sick! Well, isn't that convenient? It's all coming up Millhouse. Come on. Ah! I just clicked both. I didn't know which one it was. I was scared. Come on. Up you go. Cool. Real fucking cool.
It's a fucking spaceship. I'm no touching anything Finlay doesn't tell me to.
Yeah, that's fair. Rule of threes, Millhouse will return.
Rope.
Oh,
Nice and slow.
shit.
It's alright. I just need to make a call. Yeah? Aye.
They get so
There we go.
agitated.
Finlay. I'm at Marine Control. I'm not alone.
Fuck. Is it that bastard, Eric?
No. Jesus. It's Roper. He's all messed up.
Kaz, listen to me, alright? Listen,
Alright.
we need to keep it together.
Alright, just tell me what to do.
There's only 2 switches. You just have to find them. First, find the ballast operations panel. There'll be a switch there to put it into manual control. You flip that switch. Go do that, and then I'll talk you through the next part, alright?
Aye, alright. I'll look for
Okay.
it.
Ballast manual control. Sorry, just checking near you first, so I can get out of your way. Yeah, I'm just gonna. Ooh. Ah.
Why is it locked? Fuck's sake. It's locked.
Oh, shite. Aye, there's a key.
They're good fucking news.
Yeah, where is it? Sorry, I'm just. Oh. Hey, man.
It's alright, pal. There we go. I'll look after this now. All
Thank
right?
you. What about Rennick? Oh, God. Oh, he fucking got you. Yeah, I'll try my best, man. We're on ads? Thank you. Sorry, I totally wasn't looking. Ah, damn, we missed kind of a cool part on ads. Damn. Okay, well, shucks. Hold on. I have an idea. There we are. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I'm just chilling on here. Wah. Welcome back from ads. Sorry, you anyone who was in them, because you missed. Roper talked to me and he said keep Rennick away, which means he is sentient, conscious, willing to help me. I think he handed me the key, or maybe the key just happened to be there, but I feel like that'd be too big a coincidence. Because I think his fist was closed before. So yeah, I think we're friends. I think we're
Switches at
pals.
manual.
Right.
What's next?
Now you flood the forward pontoon, and I mean flood it to the fucking brim.
Hold on a minute. The pontoons are already fuck full of oil and gas. This might push it all up to the deck.
We don't have a choice. The whole rig could tip over. Flooding that pontoon will at least give us a fighting chance.
What about Brody? Is he no down there?
He'll be out of there by now.
Friendly
He's
reminder
done
for
his part.
evening medication.
Have to do all this, right?
Alright.
He's coming? I'm gonna try, man.
Never mind him. Flood the forward pontoon.
Hang on.
Okay, sorry, man. Let me find the pontoon controls.
Christ, it's way above my pay grade, this.
Okay, yeah, ballast override. That's not what I'm fucking looking for. Ballast capacity? Oh, port pontoon.
That's no it.
Forward. Yeah, there it is.
Right, back to Finley.
Alrighty.
Alright, that's done. Now what?
That's it. Come on.
Come on, what? It's moving. Did it work?
Fucking aye. See, that's the whole was after all, eh?
Oh, thank Christ, Finley. What now?
Brody's got a plan. Meet us in drill ops as soon as you can.
Okay, I'll meet you there.
We're going to be alright, Cass.
I fucking hope so.
Okay. Oh, fuck. Hey, man. Fucking quit that shit. I get it, it's scary, but I cannot stop Rennick from doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Susan.
You got here! Your daughter, for fuck's sake! What is wrong with you?
Fuck! Am I losing my mind?
Okay. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Should I let it push me? Oh my god. Oh my god.
Shite, that was close.
Okie dokie.
It's making that noise.
Ah! Fucking hell. Hey, bud. Ah! No. No, 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 no. Ah! Ah! Get around the fucking railing, man. Cold as shit. Probably not that way. Yeah. Okay. Are we sinking? Is this it? Did it just not work? Are we just gonna die? Oh my fucking god. Oh, sick. Exit. Well, that's fortuitous. That's a good sign. That's full up to the brim, which is awesome. Ooh. Come on, go, go, go on.
It's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, but it's been a nightmare. So, like, all we're doing is continuing the theme. Hey, are we sinking?
Sus?
Oh.
Sus! What? Sus!
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Rennick, leave me the fuck alone. Ah! Okay, that's fine. It's a very petite and fun and delicate scream, and not at all. Ah! 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 Fucking stop! Fucking cut it out!
Jesus. Don't think about it. Don't think about it.
Fuck. Rennick, you in here? Can you go, you know, get Roper and not me? That'd be... There he is. Oh my god, 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 oh my god. Please leave me the fuck alone. Fuck off! Fuck off, you big head! I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Oh, Jesus. That was... Oh, fuck. Rest in peace, you cunt. Christ. I've got to get the fuck out of here.
Okay. Everything's good. I like your little screams. Yes, officer, this post right here.
Finally, thank fuck.
Oh, shit. Is Brody dead? Are you hearing things like me? Is it your family?
Kaz, you made it.
Brody, what's wrong with Finlay? She's freaked out here.
Listen, Kaz. There's no much time. There's oil and gas getting in here. When it fills, it will be headed right up the drill pipe.
What are you on about?
I'm still in the pontoons.
Oh.
I've only got a couple of minutes. I can't stop it. The rig's a time bomb now. You understand? One spark and... You need to find a way off.
Just get back up here and we'll work it out, yeah?
I can't do that.
What?
I can't get back up.
Wait, no, wait.
I'm sorry.
Wait, listen.
You're on your own now.
I'll come to you. All right?
No, you won't. You wouldn't even get halfway to me. The leg's flooded and the gas, it's no possible.
You got your dive gear?
Aye, but
So you can use that?
it's oil, Kaz. There's nothing to be done.
Fucking say that.
I knew the risk when I came down here.
Fuck. Can I lose you as well?
Listen, I'm alright, Kaz. I'm already back on Sky. You've never seen water like that, Kaz. Clear, peaceful. You just let go and everything's fine.
Aye. That sounds beautiful.
You go one day. Alright?
No, fuck that. I'm never swimming again after this.
Kaz, you and Finlay, you could do this, alright? I'm sure she wouldn't do something so stupid.
Brody, you there?
Kaz,
What's stupid? Talk to me.
it's getting higher.
Alright, I'm here, Brody. I'm not going anywhere. Alright, I'm here.
Oh my fucking god.
Brody. Jesus. How's this happening? What do we do now, fella?
Doesn't fucking matter.
He's dead and you don't think that matters.
He was always gonna die. All of them. Always. We see that. We've been fucking about with the lakey and pontoons. And without a open hell. Watching our pals turn into monsters. Never once. Never fucking once have we tried to do what needed to be done.
Okay.
I I'm ending this. Fucking hell.
Finley, no. Come back. Finley!
I don't know that I want to stop her, but I think Kaz would.
Finley!
No!
Wait a minute!
Give me a
Jesus!
fucking wait!
Come back! You're not thinking straight!
I hear ya. I do.
Finley! We have to find a way out, come on!
Fucking kidding yourself, it's this or nothing!
Stuck fast.
Ah! Come on, come on, come on. Ah! Okay.
Finley!
Oh my god.
Finley!
Ah! I'm about to die, and you're trying to drown me!
No!
Jesus, Finley. Fucking hell.
Guys,
I'm here, Finley, I'm here.
guys. What is it you hear? When it's close.
Who do I hear?
It's not your Christmas card.
I hear my wife. I just want to get back to her, Finley. To my wains.
I hear my boy. When he was wee, you know. I hear him now.
Kate. I'm thinking Kate.
He's singing. We're not seeing him again, guys.
There's got to be a ship coming. You said it yourself.
Christ, guys. We don't want him coming. Jesus!
I'm sorry, Finley. I don't know what to do.
We've got to face it, cuz.
What do you mean?
Ah! We can't get back. We can't. But I can. It's not going to stop with us. Fuck's sake, McCleary. For once in your life, be brave. Be brave for them. You can't save yourself, but you can save them.
Jesus, Finley.
You want to leave it a chance? Oh. If it gets to the mainland, you know I'm right. Always fucking right.
Oh, Christ. Christ. All right. Aye, all right. For them.
I'm sorry it's been so hard.
All right, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna suck. I mean, I suppose it was always going to end this way. Is that oil? Can I just light that? I feel like I could. No, we're gonna walk into it. We're gonna have our moment in the light.
Christ! I never had a chance. I'm sorry, Sus. So sorry.
Oh. Do I get
You
to...
don't recognise me, do you?
No, sorry, love. You know me.
You could say that. It's been a long time though, Kaz.
Hold up. Susan Lafferty. Fuck's sake, is that you?
The very same. Christ, Kaz, but you look no different.
I've still got the nose, eh?
Well, looks like someone did a good job of spreading it about your face.
Oh, the big man a drink.
Jesus, Kaz. Because I really want to be thinking about Roy right now.
Who looks after me? He fucking adores you, you know.
Well, I am easy to love, Cameron McCreary.
Yeah. I'm finding that.
Shut up, great Suki Jim.
I do though, Suze. I fucking love you. I love you more than anything in this whole world.
Did that bomb pop? Well, you're not so bad yourself, all things considered.
Marry me.
What?
I'm serious. Marry me. We make beautiful wains. I want to spend my whole life with you.
She's perfect.
She looks just like you.
Thank God for that. She's got your eyes, though.
My dad's eyes.
I'm sorry, Kaz. I know you'd have wanted him to meet her.
Nah, fuck him. The bastard wasn't interested in me. Why would he care about her?
He loved you in his way, Kaz.
I'll never leave you, Suze. I'll be at your side forever. I'm always going to be here for this Wayne.
Oh, that's painful. That's nice and painful. Awesome. Sick. Sick and awesome. Fuck. Oh. Is this another memory? I mean, it's a fine note to end on. It's fine as any. Maybe the best.
Kiss the Waynes for me. Tell them I'll be back for Christmas. I'm sorry, Suze.
Hey, Kaz. I'm sorry it's been so hard. I just wanted to send you this. To say we'll get through it. I know we will. Just take care out there and bring my beautiful big gallus man back home in one piece, okay? I miss you and I love you. And the girls miss and love you. I'm still raging at Roy, but he's a good man and I know he'll look after you. Whatever happens, we will be all right. We can weather this. Just wanted to say that to you, Kaz. To keep you safe and close and make sure you know to come home to us. I love you, Cameron McCleary.
Well,
He's safe out there on those waters.
Roy was right. That's kind of sweet.
Man,
Look at Eden sashaying through the sadness. Yeah. Fair. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. What a game. Fucking hell. Yeah, that was everything I loved about Dead Space was definitely present in this game. And I do like a definitive ending. I do. Fucking brutal how long they drug out the yeah, you know, it's sad when someone dies, but you know, perhaps deserved. No matter how much we can wish for forever, we have to settle for as long as we can. Very, very poignant words, I suppose. Fucking hell. Only Eden's dancing can save me now, surely. Or the draft that's left in her place. I wonder if this studio's come out with anything, or any of these studios, I don't know, have done anything else crazy. Because this was fucking awesome, for sure. But yeah. I guess we need a new Monday horror game if we're sticking with Horror Monday theme. Thank you guys for enjoying. Oh yeah, Prey. Right, Hilda? That's next on my list. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I got you. Prey's next. Prey's next. Next Monday. We will begin. Well, the horrors are indeed never ending. I think that's... I try to make it a point not to skip through the credits, but sometimes I'm like, okay, is this just like licensing at this point? No, it's motion capture and stuff. Okay. Fucking hell. I suppose we are gonna end stream a little earlier than usual, just because I don't want to start a new game right here. I'm thinking about raid targets, and I'm thinking I could, I was shown this game by a kind of bigger streamer, and it would be kind of cool to... Oh no. Eden, where'd she go? It'd be cool to go there and be like, hey, this was sick. Where is she? Oh no, this is the string. I switched the fucking tab. I see. I put it on the wrong opera. There we are. TV. I'm like, where the fuck is the TV? Where did she move it? That bastard. No. Other opera. Open up. Thank you. But then again, we also have some other very cool places to go. And I'm not that brave. But yeah, did anybody here have any thoughts on the game besides what we've kind of already kind of gone through? A lot of people on tonight? There are a lot of people on tonight. There are. Damn. I mean, I get why these credits are so long. Like, it was a huge fucking game. It was very pretty. Very well done. Perhaps optimization was not the most ideal, or perhaps it was my computer. I don't know anything about... I don't know shit about shit, so I couldn't be asked about it. You know? Time and art I got to share with you today? Aw, shucks. Aw, shucks. I liked it too. I love story games. It was the main thing I was most excited for when I started streaming, and so it is always nice to finish one. You know? I enjoyed the game. Kind of an enjoyable experience watching a character come to terms with the inevitability that they aren't making it. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, we're not like... No characters are perfect. Everyone has their flaws, but like, the flaws were the main point of this character, and it was very, very fun to see him be thrust unwillingly, repeatedly into heroic circumstances, only for it not to pay off. You know? Oh my god. Loud as fuck. We'll turn that down a bit. Eden tries slightly to drown me. Everything's come full circle. We got an achievement for beating the game without sprinting more than 10 total minutes, and it's walking simulator. Brilliant. Fucking brilliant. Oh yeah, there's an expansion. Maybe we'll play that at some point. I haven't heard about it, but we shall see. Guys, what are you thinking? Should we go visit our dancer? Should we go see more horror game? Or should we bother a bigwig famous person? Those are our 3 options. Some Resident Evil, some more Just Dance, or Voices of the Void. In any case, I will be happy. Let's see if she's about to end. I always read when she's about to end. Give me the homies. We love the homies. We do love famous people on the down low. And we do love Resident Evil, and we also love dancing. Okay. I am gonna shout out Eden one more time because we are gonna fuck off elsewhere. I don't want to help. Yeah, I'm aware. Everyone here should be following Eden. Super good friend at this point, and very, very fucking funny, upsettingly funny on this goddamn site. And streaming all the fucking time, so there will surely be more opportunities. But for today, we are gonna raid Hoya, because it's been a second before we've been able to raid her while she's gonna continue streaming for a bit, which does not happen often. Eden is ridiculously funny, ridiculously fucking funny. Oh, that was wrong. That was wrong. Fucking hell. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Shut up, shut up. New streamer, who this? Okay, guys. Copy a raid message, copy a normal one, copy a freaky one. You know, do whatever brings you joy in your life. Put your own emotes in there if you don't have mine. Everyone say bye. Everyone wave to Eden. Say bye, Eden. So while she dances, she's dancing for you guys. She's dancing exclusively for you guys. Don't pay attention to the fact that she's also streaming. Just, you know, that's just... She's just a huge fan of you guys. Just a huge fan. Bye. Bye. How are you dancing and saying bye to me at the same time? That's crazy. Bye, Captain. Bye, everyone. I hope everyone enjoys the new room. I hope you all enjoy your frozen hellscape. Now get away from the window. It's fucking cold out there. Go home. Go to your homes. You have TVs there. You have joy. You have things to do. Supposedly you have things to do. I don't know. Oh, now she's all up here. Hi, bye. I'm waving at you, Eden. You can't see it because I had to switch to Fugi because we're poor. The budget is in shambles. Okay, bye guys. Love you. See you in 2 days for more Pyre. We will be finishing it up. It'll be a good fucking time. Priest basketball, wizard basketball, one of those. Yeah, bye. It's so cold in here. We gotta break into a better house. It's rough. It's rough out here.